Welcome to week 4 of Supervision and Staff Development. This week in this presentation, we are going to have our flashback to week number 3. I also want to touch base with you on the DPI licensure clarification of reading specialists and versus the reading teacher. We also will explore some of the DPI Wisconsin statutes and laws that we are expected to follow. I will also touch a little bit upon professional development and then introduce the week number 4 activities. Week number 3 flashback. The leadership role discussion should have flowed pretty easily for many of you, and many good points were brought to the forefront because of it. It's so nice to hear that many of you have such great support systems in your district. I loved hearing all the different ideas of what your perfect leadership team would be and the vision for those teams. And there are some that I definitely want to try to implement in my school as well. In your reflection, you read the LIA's position statement on adolescent literacy and were sent to a link about developmentally appropriate practices. The information about DPA hopefully wasn't new to you and just validated the practices you know you and your teachers need to continue to use. The ILA presented 8 principles outlining what adolescents deserve. As many of us have discussed and mentioned in reflections and the discussion boards, the secondary levels sometimes are left out when it comes to literacy support. And disciplinary literacy has been one of our district's main staff development focuses over the last year, helping to teach students how to comprehend the complex texts that they encounter in order to prepare them for the real world. We do not want to forget about our secondary students because they are the ones who will be the future leaders and in charge of our world someday. Sometimes we find discrepancies and confusions when it comes to the different roles of the reading teacher and the reading specialist and the literacy leaders within our districts. I thought it would be appropriate to clarify what the specific duties are for each of these educators and share what the DPI has to say about those roles. I found this information at the link that you see on this page, which is also shared on the Moodle page, where you can copy and paste or click onto the link to bring you to the website. Things are changing so fast in education. Notice that already the license numbers have changed, and these have been in flux over the last few years. First, DPI dropped the 3 in the 17 license, and now they've decided to put it back on, and they've added the 1 and the 3. To be consistent, they then added the 1 to the 316 reading teacher license. Times they are changing. So for the reading teacher, the 1316 license, that speaks more to working with students and teachers as a support system. Since we know that early intervention is the best, many school districts want their elementary teachers to be 316 certified. They also talk about how you need to have a 316 license in order to teach reading for more than 1 class per day. Onalaska Middle School has a reading class, but each class is taught by a different teacher, and that's one way that they have gotten around the law where you need to have a 1316 license and certification. At our high school teachers in ELA have an emphasis in English, which enables them to fulfill that position. However, if a basic reading class is offered and or an intervention class is created, then our high school ELA teacher would need to have their 1316. As far as your reading specialist, it is now called a 1317 license, and that license has more of an emphasis on administration and on professional development within a school. The next, what you see here is information on Wisconsin education standards. This talks about Standard C and Standard B. Take particular note of Standard C because of the reading specialist requirement listed there. And Standard B speaks a bit about the collaborative nature that professional development planning and the execution should have. As reading specialists and literacy leaders, we do need to know about these. So please feel free to click on the link or copy and paste the link on our Moodle page in order to access that information. This is the Wisconsin state law on reading specialists. So this is a small portion of the statutes in Wisconsin, but it is important for us to know. Sorry for the tiny print there, but these are laws that are directly related to reading specialists and what all schools need to have in place. Feel free to pause at this point to look at the law further, or you can access a link on our Moodle page for week 4. Curriculum maps. Curriculum maps are sometimes ones that teachers write, but they may not really understand that it is part of DPI and the law. There is a plan that DPI has as far as curriculum maps are concerned, and please check out the link on our Moodle page about curriculum maps. To initiate some thought about professional development, there are 2 different videos to watch this week in regards to different ways to look at staff development. Think about what you've experienced in your educational career. Which types of professional development worked for you and which didn't? What was the cause for the successes and what was the root of the downfalls? There are varying models for professional development. There are times and places for each model of development. You have your individual, school-wide, or group professional development. Just like in classrooms with students' diverse needs, our teachers have diverse needs as well. Mixing the models can help us get information to those who need it most in the best possible format. As you look over this graphic here, think of different scenarios in which you might use these different models. So now what? This presentation, along with the posted videos and readings, will support our discussion boards for the week. I've included the links from the video to the body of this week's introduction. There are a few videos to watch on staff development as we continue to explore this topic, and will be the focus of one discussion board. We also focus on assessment and RTI. This discussion board will be run a little differently than what we've done in the past, and you will only need to post only your thoughts and not necessarily needing to reply to others' posts. But I do encourage you to read what others have wrote even after you have written your initial post. Lastly, we will continue to dive into our text, this time forwarding ahead to Chapter 18. Don't forget to continue to plan out your decision maker's interview. As we are halfway through this class, my plans seem to pan out where our Week 8 can solely focus on this interview and the reflection that accompanies it. This upcoming week may be homecoming for many of you. If that is the case, good luck to you and your school. Happy reading.